Hey y'all, it's Val from Our Forever Farm. I know you don't see me dressed up very often, but we are fixing to leave. Got to go to the doctor's appointment, and I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have a chocolate cake to come home to? So I just thought of that right after I got dressed. But we're going to do it anyway because I've got the time. So let's get to cooking. This cake is called coalminerscake. I haven't made it in a long, long time, but you'll need some sugar. You'll need some cherry pie filling, and don't let that turn you off if you don't like cherries, because you won't know it, and it's so good. We're going to need 2 eggs. We're going to need a stick of butter. We're going to use a devil's food cake. We're going to use some vanilla flavoring, some nuts, some evaporated milk, and we're going to use chocolate chips. This is so easy. So the cake part only takes 4 ingredients: the devil's food cake, the eggs, the cherry pie filling, and vanilla flavoring. That's it. The reason I chose this cake is, 1, I've been craving this cake. And you do. Once you taste of it, it is absolutely delicious. 2, it's a quick cake to make as you're walking out the door like I am. So this is what we're going to do. We're just going to dump the devil's food cake. We're going to crack the 2 eggs. We're going to open the can of cherry pie filling. I was looking to see if I needed a spoon. I think I'll get all that goodness out. Don't want to waste anything. So if you don't like cherries, remember, this is a very good cake. Uh-oh, sorry. And you will not regret making this cake. I have a daughter who doesn't like any kind of fruit cake or fruit. She don't like pies, but she eats this and don't even know what's in there. It's so good. So this calls for a teaspoon of vanilla flavoring. We got to fill that back up. And we're just going to mix this together.
That vanilla flavoring I just used, I made that vanilla flavoring. It was so fun to make. I'll link that video in the description box too. Maybe you'd like to make you some.
So just like any other cake, you want to stop this and scrape the sides down. And mix well. I've got my oven preheating at 350. I've got my pan sprayed and ready. It's a 9x13 pan. Actually, mine's just a little bit bigger than a 9x13, but it's what I use for a 9x13, so it'll be fine. Now we're going to pour the cake batter into this 9x13 pan. That's not a 9x13 pan. And you just want to spread it out, just like any other cake. So my oven is preheated to 350, like I told you. I'm going to put my cake in for 30 to 35 minutes. And because mine is a little bit bigger pan, it's going to be a little bit thinner. I'm going to watch it start in about 25 minutes. But the recipe actually calls for it to cook for 30 to 35 minutes. You know, every oven's different. So the very next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our stick of butter. I'm using salted because that's what I have, but Doesn't matter really. I like a little salt and everything. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn this on low or medium low. We're going to add a 1/4 cup of the evaporated milk. And we're going to add 1 cup of sugar. Now we're going to bring this to a boil over low heat. So I've got my eye turned down. We're going to bring it to a boil. And it's just the evaporated milk, the stick of butter, and the sugar. That's all it is. This is the topping for the cake. So the cake is in the oven, and we're just working on the topping. See what a quick cake this is? Oh, it's so good. I haven't made a dessert in quite a while because Sweet Hunter's been down, but hopefully he's going to start getting back to normal and get his appetite back. And so I'm craving this one. So I'm just going to stir this where it won't burn until it comes to a low boil. Now I want to back up just a little bit. Some people take chocolate chips and put them in the cake. I've done that before too. You can do that too if you want to. I didn't this time. I just used the 4 ingredients. Now when this starts to boil, you want to time it for 1 minute. And it needs to be, the butter needs to be melted, and it needs to come to a full boil. Now when I say a low boil, that's what I've got it on because it won't take it long. On my stove anyway, it won't. It's starting on the edges to boil now. So I'm just going to stir it, stir it, stir it till it boils completely for 1 minute. So it calls for, and this is optional, you do not have to add nuts. If you have a child with a nut allergy or something, or anybody, it calls for 1/2 cup of chopped pecans. You can also use walnuts too. I bet almonds would even be good. But I've got to chop these up. See if I can figure out how to get this back on. And it calls for about 1/2 cup. I keep pecans in my freezer and just pull them out as I need them. I want to buy a bulk for the holidays, and I've got a friend that gave me a box, a case of pecans, and I'm going to ask her where she got those to see if I can get those myself, because I bake a lot during the holidays. And y'all, it's like, let's see, August is almost over. School's started. Gardens are playing out. Oh my goodness gracious. It's almost holiday time. And people tend to think that Christmas surprises them. There's no surprise. I mean, it comes the same time every year. So we're actually going to start doing some Christmassy things, probably starting around October. I always start cooking desserts around October. I've always had a tradition with my grandchildren. Now we live an hour and a half away from them, but every Halloween, we didn't really celebrate Halloween, but the kids dress up and have fun, and they always come to my house. And I had a tradition. I always had a pot of Brunswick stew and apples and all kinds of candies and goodies for them. And that's the start of my holiday baking. This year, I'm going to do it anyway. I may have to take it to them, but it's going to happen. So I'm so hungry for this cake. My cake is still in the oven, and I'm working on the topping now. Now, y'all know me. I'm not big on measuring, but looks like my pan scorched just a little bit, but it's fine. Brown butter's good, as long as it's not burnt. I like brown butter anyway. So that's our chocolate chips. And this is our nuts. And it calls for 1/2 cup. I'm probably going to go ahead and use all these. That may be a little more than 1/2 cup. just because they're chopped up and they're ready and it's going to be good. So I've got this topping is ready to go. Now this is one of those cakes that you pour the topping on top of the hot cake. And you serve this cake warm with ice cream. It's so good. How many times have I said that? My word used to be beautiful. Now it's so good. And it is. Y'all will love this. If you haven't made this cake, please try it. Even if you don't like cherries, try it, please.
So when I use that pan that's a 9 by 13 pan that's not really a 9 by 13 pan, I usually have to double my icing recipe. And so that's what I'm doing here. But I didn't go into detail about that because, you know, I want y'all to have the base recipe. Here I'm just putting in the chocolate chips and then the nuts and stir it up. And it's already boiled for a minute and it's ready. I'm just going to add it to the other topping.
Now my cake is not out of the oven yet, but I have the topping ready. So I'm just letting it sit in the pan, and the oven is warm, so it'll keep it kind of warm. But if it needs to be rewarmed, there's no problem at all. And then if you need to add a little more evaporated milk just to thin it down, that's no problem at all. And I'll probably do that too because I've got just a smidgen left. This cake is great served warm or cold. I prefer it warm with vanilla ice cream. It's heaven. Now, I won't be able to do a taste test on this today because I've got to leave, but I will on another video because it's so good. And again, don't let the cherries scare you off. Please, unless you're allergic to them, add them. But you know, I guess you could do without them if you want to. To me, I think it's a secret ingredient. So the cake is done, I'm pretty sure. Let's check it. Well, looks done to me. I've checked it once and it wasn't done. So you just put a fork in there if it comes out clean, or a chopstick or whatever you want. If it comes out clean, your cake is done, and that is done. So my oven's off. I'm going to warm this topping up. Even though it's warm, it's still warm, but I'm going to warm it up just a little bit. You're supposed to pour it over this hot cake. So let's get this ready here. Now this is going to be sitting waiting on us when we get home. So I'm real excited about it. And like I say, I hadn't been making many desserts because Sweet Hunter hadn't had an appetite. And he is my sweet eater. Now he's teaching me to eat it too. So
Now, if you have to fix this cake ahead of time and let it sit, and you want it warm, just warm it in the microwave. It's no big deal.
all right, I think that's enough. I did add a little evaporated milk to that to thin it down. So now we're just going to pour it. Let me get that out of the way. Right over our cake. Look at that. Oh, my goodness. This reminds me a lot of a cake I bake, and I've got a video on it. It's called Jane's Chocolate Cake. So if you're dead set against using this one because of cherries, you can go look that video up, and I'll put it in the description box and make it. That's exactly what this cake looks like. Now it's from scratch, that cake. Smells so good. No taste test, huh? Okay, let me get my pot holders where I can show you this. It's just beautiful, ready. Can't wait to get home. So y'all gonna make something sweet for your sweeties. That's what it's all about, isn't it? And I've been craving this one. So this will be good with a cold Coke when I get home. Hey, thank y'all for watching. Y'all go cook something. I gotta get out of here.